Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends and colleagues, welcome to the second panel of this day. I'm Johannes, and I'm a fellow here at the IFS. And as some of you have noticed already, I'm not Ida Marie Oma, who was supposed to chair this panel. But she got sick and lost her voice, so I had to step in. So, the idea with this panel is to focusing on Allied ability to provide military support. And I will welcome an excellent panel of speakers, and I'll introduce them shortly. But let me first set off this panel on a philosophical note. The German philosopher Immanuel Kant is not typically associated with issues of military readiness. But one formula from his moral teachings is that ought implies can. In other words, that an obligation to assist someone only kicks in when one is indeed capable of providing help. And that's exactly what this panel is about to discuss. What kind of military support is NATO or individual allies capable of mustering in a crisis on the northern flank? Are those capabilities sufficient, and will they arrive in time? And according to Kant's formula, an Article 5 obligation is logically empty without the means to make good on that obligation. And NATO has, as we've heard earlier today, done quite a lot since 2014 to improve the readiness of its forces and structures. And some of these initiatives are indeed relevant to the northern flank. We've heard of the Very High Readiness Joint Task Force. We've heard of the Graduate Response Plan. We've not heard that much about the strengthening of the Allied maritime posture and command structure, including the plan for a new Joint Forces Command in the North Atlantic. And we've heard of the 430s. But will such forces be available in a crisis if it breaks out on the northern flank, and are they sufficient? That's the question. And what happens, for instance, if a crisis occurs in the north while the NRF is already engaged in the defense of the Baltics? And as some have already questioned, are the aims of the 430s even realistic, given the extra burden that being on high alert involves? And not least, will military reinforcements arrive in time to avoid a fait accompli? So, as the previous panel, the speakers will give us short 10 minutes introductions on these issues, and then we'll have a bit more time for discussions, I hope. So the first speaker we've invited is Colonel Andrew Budd, who is head of capabilities section for the Defense Policy Directorate in NATO headquarters. He has also been chief of strategic policy and concepts at NATO headquarters, and has served as chief of operations in ISAF in Afghanistan. Next is Admiral Martens, who is Deputy Director General for Forces Policy at the German Ministry of Defense. He has served as a Deputy Operation Commander of a EU naval force in Somalia, and has various positions in the German Navy as well. Following is Commodore Arne Morten Grønningsæter, who is currently involved in the establishment of the mentioned Joint Forces Command in Norfolk, and he was in 2014 appointed the Deputy Assistant Chief of Staff for Command and Control, Deployability and Sustainability, and ACT. And he has also served in the the Norwegian Ministry of Defense and in the Norwegian Joint Headquarters. And the final speaker is Brigadier General Dag Søberg, who since 2016 is Deputy Chief of Staff of Knowledge, Plans and Policy at the 1st German Netherlands Corps in Münster. So we start with Colonel Budd. Please have the floor.